Hello there. Hope you're doing well on this Thursday night. It is Thursday night, October the 5th, and this is episode 5 or part 5 of our 70s film frenzy. I apologize for the echo. I've had to do this live stream in a different area here, so there's going to be a little bit of an echo going on, but hey, maybe that could be considered Halloweeny if you would. But yeah, we got a little bit of an echo going on or some reverb, so please forgive that in the audio, but hope that you're doing well this evening. And I'm excited for 70s Film Frenzy Part 5, which is dealing with horror films. We are in 31 Days of Horror. So tonight we're going to talk about 10 horror films from the 1970s. And in accordance with that theme of 70s Film Frenzy, we're talking about films that are made in the 70s about life in the 70s. So I'm covering 10 horror titles that fit that definition. Now, that means that titles that came out in the 70s that are horror classics, such as Alien here, one of the great horror classics of all time, happens to be sci-fi horror taking place in the future. Ripley's doing her thing in the 22nd or 23rd or whatever century on the Nostromo, I think. So it's in the future. It's not about life in the 70s, so does not count for 70s Film Frenzy. I do, however, have 10 other films that I'm really excited to talk about tonight. So I'm looking forward to sharing thoughts on these 10 titles, hearing what you think about it, and we will do that on the other side of this. I cannot wait, so let's go. All right, 70s Film Frenzy Part 5. I am super excited about it. We are going to get into these titles. I have most of these titles. I think 6 of the 10 titles that I'm going to talk about tonight are titles I have in my physical collection. So I'll show you my physical copy of them. The other 4 titles are films I don't have on physical media, but I can definitely recommend. I've seen some of these films recently. Others of these films, it's been a long time since I've seen them. And then I think there's 1 or 2 of these films I have not seen in their entirety. So looking forward to hearing what you think about these titles. Before we get into them though, let's see who is made some comments out there. Just a few folks so far. We have a few people out there on this Thursday night. The eve of our weekend is here. And I'm excited. An internet user says, hello to you. Hope you're doing well tonight. Wilkie's Movies and Music. I can't be in the chat a bunch tonight, but want to say hey to you. No problem, Wilkie. No problem at all. Glad that you're here. Jordo's Video Village says, hey, everybody. Hey to you as well. The 70s is my favorite decade of cinema. I just love the aesthetic of that period. I love that whole vibe of the 1970s, the music, the clothes, the hair, everything. I just love the general vibe. I totally dig it. And I love the films from that period. It just is so nostalgic to me, and I love it. So let's just dive into these films, shall we? The first film is a film that came out in 1972. So it's a nice sprinkling of titles, films from 1972 up to like 1978. So the first film is a film that I'm going to share my screen here. And we're going to go right to it. Going to go to IMDb, and we're going to talk about this movie called The Last House on the Left. Came out in 1972. It is rated R, of course, as many of these films are. And it is a film that got a remake that recently was released on Arrow Video. This remake here, The Last House on the Left, that came out in 2009, that I recently picked up and watched. This film is incredible. I was blown away by this film. It is really intense. That's the word I was looking for. It's very intense. And I have not seen this original one from 1972, but I have seen this one from 2009 that's directed by Dennis Elatis. And it is so good. I highly recommend it. I'm encouraged and inspired to check out this first one here from 1972. So it says, it rests on 13 acres of earth over the very center of hell. Mary, 17, is dying. Even for her, the worst is yet to come. The Last House on the Left. Wow. Two teenage girls heading to a rock concert for one's birthday try to score marijuana in the city, where they are kidnapped and brutalized by a gang of psychopathic convicts. So this is a film from director Wes Craven. Now, interestingly enough, Wes Craven's son, I think Jonathan Craven, was involved in the production of this remake from 2009, and he's included in the features on this. And he talks about his dad and his experiences being on the set of the original Last House on the Left and what that was like, being the son of Wes Craven, of course, who gave us Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street. So yeah, so these are some of the people in the cast. You have Sandra Peabody, played Mary Collinwood, which I think she's the main character. David Hess, Lucy Grantham, Fred J. Lincoln. So this is a title that I'm definitely looking forward to checking out. Again, of course, it's from director Wes Craven. And this film apparently pushed boundaries and set the stage for the modern, horror genre. You have David Hess, who portrayed the sadistic Krug Stillo in this film. And he sort of stood out in this film, from what I understand. He delivered a chilling performance that left a lasting impact. So I'm looking forward to seeing how lasting of an impact he left. This film shocked audiences with its raw brutality and unflinching exploration of revenge. So yeah, that's Last House on the Left, the original Last House on the Left from 1972. It came in at an hour and 24 minutes, rated R. This is the remake that I've seen that's very intense. If this remake is any indication of what I can expect from this 1970s original, I think I'm definitely in for a treat. So let me know in the comments section what you think about The Last House on the Left. I'm going to go through two more, and then I'm going to jump back to the comments and hear what you all think of these movies so far. So let's jump to the second film. So the first film is The Last House on the Left. Not the right, not the back, not the front, the left. Let's go forward a year to 1973. The Exorcist. This film here. Recently rewatched this film. This slipcover is absolutely horrible. Horrible. The release from that went out in the UK. They had that classic image of Max von Sydow's character, father. Oh gosh, I forget I forget the name, but Max von Sydow's character, in that silhouette about to go into the house. That would have been the perfect cover for this slip, but they put this really awful art on here. But the movie itself is absolutely incredible. I rewatched it again after many years, and it is so gripping. I mean, Linda Blair's portrayal of Reagan, the possessed girl, is just masterful. And Ellen Burstyn, who plays her mother, she is fantastic. Max von Sydow was great as always. But this is a great film, and the commentary on here, I think, is really nice because they explain a lot about why they included certain things in the film, like the whole opening in Iran or Iraq and how that plays into the story. And this is just a fantastic film. Of course, for those of you who are not familiar, this came out in 1973. It's from director William Friedkin, based on the novel from William Peter Blatty. Stars Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, and Linda Blair. It is basically about a young teenage girl who gets possessed by a demon, and she ultimately undergoes an exorcism. So that's why it's called The Exorcist. But The Exorcist is just one of those all-time classic horror films, and it is just a big part of the 1970s. And it certainly is a film that needs no introduction. Even people who've never seen it know a little bit about this film. Of course, again, it was directed by William Friedkin. It's considered one of the all-time great horror movies. You have Linda Blair. She played the possessed girl, Reagan McNeil, and she was astonishing in her performance. When you see the progression of her possession and her performance, it's shocking the first time you see it. It's shocking the second time you see it. It's shocking every time you see it. You never get over that performance. At least I don't. The special effects are great. And you just have this general sense of dread as the film goes on to see what's going to happen next. It is one of the all-time great horror classics. It is The Exorcist, and it has a recent 4K Ultra HD release. Some people are going to buy that set because this particular release doesn't have a lot of special features, but that set is going to have the special features. And the British release of this film on Slip has that classic Max von Sydow silhouette cover, but this one has this horrible cover. But you know, we still love the movie. It's still one of the all-time great films. All right, that is film 2 in our 70s film frenzy. I'm going to go to this third film, and then we're going to go to the comments to see what you think. This next film is a film that's getting a Criterion 4K upgrade. It currently exists in the Criterion collection under SPY number 745, and it's getting a 4K release from Criterion in the month of October. So this is a great time to pick up this title if you don't have it already. It is the 1973 or 73 film, Don't Look Now. Excuse me while I... Excuse me. But this is Don't Look Now, starring Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland. This is a fantastic, fantastic film. I recently rewatched this movie. It is just... I'm sorry, folks. I got the sneezies tonight. This is directed by Nicholas Roeg, whose film Walkabout recently got a 4K upgrade. Now we're getting this film, Don't Look Now, upgraded to 4K. This is the Blu-ray copy. I'm still debating whether or not I want to actually upgrade this to 4K or not. Let me know in the comment section what your plans are with this film. But this is an amazing film. You open this up, you'll see the streets of Venice, which is where this couple, Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie, eventually go to after a family tragedy. They lose their daughter. They go on a trip to Italy, and they encounter some people who basically put them in touch with perhaps their daughter again. And it's sort of a haunting movie. I won't say much else beyond that, but it is a very haunting horror film. And it just is a fantastic story. It is beautifully directed by Nicholas Roeg. And I'm going to show you, after I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to reshare my screen, and let's go to the Criterion collection. Let's look at the Criterion collection. Why not? We love Criterion. And let's look at Don't Look Now. Don't Look Now, 1973, Nicholas Roeg. And here it is. This is the listing for the upcoming 4K plus Blu-ray, $39.96, 2-disc edition coming out. I believe it's out now, actually. And you get this 4K digital restoration. Now, please note that this Blu-ray edition was based on a new 4K digital restoration. This says 4K digital restoration, which tells me it's the same digital restoration that they use for this Blu-ray. So that's what's on this 4K disc. This 4K disc is presented in Dolby Vision, so that's good to know. But all the features are the same as the features that you have on this Blu-ray edition, which is pretty common with these Criterion. Married couple on an extended trip to Venice following a family tragedy. While in that elegantly decaying city, they have a series of inexplicable, terrifying, and increasingly dangerous experiences. This is a masterpiece from Nicholas Roeg, Don't Look Now. It's adapted from a story by Daphne du Maurier. Is a brilliantly disturbing tale of the supernatural, as renowned for its innovative editing and haunting cinematography, as for its naturalistic eroticism and its unforgettable climax and denouement, one of the great endings in horror history. It definitely lives up to that. You have Julie Christie. She portrays Laura Baxter. She's struggling with the grief of the loss of her daughter and dealing with the supernatural. She was exceptional in her role, and she had great chemistry with Donald Sutherland. They do have a pretty extensive, intimate scene in the movie that's pretty famous for this film. And it's just a psychological thriller that blends that suspense with thriller, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Don't Look Now. Great film. I highly, highly recommend it. That is the third film that we're talking about in tonight's 70s film frenzy talking about horror films. So I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to jump into the comments and hear what you have to say about these films. We have the ever-present Adrian James. Hello to you, sir. Hope you're doing well over there in England. Good morning, actually, to you now. It's probably just past midnight there. Yo, Adrian. People saying hello to one another. We have Jordo saying, I love Wes Craven. The original balances its humor and horror pretty unevenly. Worth watching, though, if you appreciate the remake. Which I do. I do appreciate the remake here I appreciate this remake. So I'm definitely interested in checking out the original. I've heard it's pretty rough, but similar to the remake. The remake is rough. I mean, there are some segments that's really hard and intense to watch. We have Mika. Hello to you. Hope you're doing well, Mika. Adrian saying hello. People saying hello to one another, being friendly to each other. Mika saying Last House on the Left, great film, tough watch at times. Yeah, exactly. It is tough to watch. I mean, in watching that remake, there are certain segments that I thought, man, I had to look away, but that's part of the feeling I want to get with these horror films. That's why they're horror films, right? See, Father Merritt, thank you. Yes, Max von Sydow's character is Father Merritt. And that picture of him, that silhouette of him about to go into the house to do the exorcism, should have been the cover. That should have been the cover for this instead of what we got. I would have been happy with that. But, you know, the film is still amazing. Planning on watching The Exorcist on the 31st. Great. It's such a good movie. It's an all-time classic. It's just one of the greats of all time. What's up, Mika? Says Jordo, The Exorcist, great film. Still one of the only horror films that still can terrify me. Yeah, I mean, every time I rewatch it, I go back to that same just place of, I mean, Linda Blair, just amazing. Yes, great conversation, Jordo, yesterday. Yep. Love The Exorcist. I can't bring now that conversation was with KB, I believe, right? Yep. And Jordan says, love The Exorcist. I can't bring myself to see the remake now. Yeah, you know, how many of you plan to see Believer? Is it coming out this weekend? How many of you plan to see that new Exorcist film? And did I hear something about that is going to be part of a new trilogy? David Gordon Green, he's doing a trilogy of Exorcist films. Let me know in the comments. So glad you had fun, Mika. Love y'all as well. Yep. Thanks. People saying good wishes. Looking forward to seeing Ellen again in the new Exorcist film. Oh yeah, Ellen Burstyn. Yep. Absolutely. What's up? It's interesting seeing the trailer. You see Ellen Burstyn in the original, and they show a flash of that, and they show a flash of her now. You're like, wow, you know, that's, you know, the difference in, 50 years, you know. Dell saying, what's up, Dell? Hope you're doing well. Planning on picking up Don't Look Now during the next Criterion sale. Yes, speaking of that, folks, be on the lookout potentially for a 24-hour flash sale on the criterion.com site. I don't have any specific information on that, but I know in previous years, Criterion has done a couple of flash sales a year. And they would typically do one in October, right before the November Barnes & Noble 50% off sale. So don't know if that will happen this year. Don't have any information, but just be on the lookout potentially for a 24-hour flash sale on the Criterion site, potentially before the 50% off Barnes & Noble sale. If they do have that flash sale, I'll probably pick up that Pasolini 101 set from Criterion. And then I have a list of other titles to pick up during the 50% off sale at Barnes & Noble. See, what's up, Dell? People saying hey to one another. People just sharing good wishes all across the nation and the world. I just got my copy today, James. Steve, you talking about your copy of Don't Look Now on 4K? Yes, awesome. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on it. Yeah, Don't Look Now. Perfect. Dell says, I like the remake of Last House on the Left more than the original. Good. Yeah, I really like this film, Last House on the Left from 2009. And I was blown away by it, slightly disturbed by it, couldn't watch certain parts of it too long, but It's just so intense, and I really, really dug it all the way around. We got the Father Merrimack shot on the cover here, a Marin shot cover here in the UK. Yes, yes, Steve. I think it was either you showing it or somebody else I saw showing it. It may have been Elliot Cohen showing it. Somebody I saw showing their copy with that cover that I wish we had over here. Father Marin, yes, yes, we know it. We know who you mean. Putting down the money for the BFI collector set for the Exorcist 4K Blu-ray. Yes, yeah. The only disappointing thing about this set is from that people have been talking about is the special features are lacking. Like you would really have liked to see more features on this. That you wish they would have ported over all the features and put it in here. That would have been nice, but you do at least get the commentary, which is nice, right? The commentary by director William Friedkin, which is nice, who of course recently passed. So we at least get that, which I think is very important because he does talk about his decisions about why certain things were included in the film, like that Iran or Iraq opening. And it's very enlightening to just understand his thoughts of how the different pieces of the film came together. Let's see, Dell, I do plan on seeing Believer. Okay, whether or not it gets to be a trilogy depends on its box office. That's very true. That's very true. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that movie does. And I'm looking forward to seeing more reviews. And I'm still deciding whether or not I'm actually going to check it out in the theater or just wait on physical. I'm leaning toward waiting on physical, but who knows? Maybe if I hear a lot of good things, I might slip into the theater and check it out. The Pasolini set is great. Good to know. Yeah, I'm planning on getting it. I am planning to get it. I'm looking forward to it. I wonder if the flash sale will be during the release of the Todd Browning set or during the others. Yeah, it's hard to say. Hard to say. We shall have to see. My guess is if it happens, and that's a big if. I don't know, but it might be later this month. But we shall see. I actually like the image of the Exorcist slit, but those colors are so ugly. I'm just gonna go for the big set. Yeah, I don't blame you, even though my wallet hates me for it. Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, for me, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with it. It does have the commentary. It's disappointing it doesn't have more features. It's disappointing that this slip is what it is, but the classic film is there, and it looks wonderful on 4K. The Exorcist is not BFI. It has an extract from the longer BFI book. It's still a WB release in the Purple Bible box. Okay. In case anyone missed it, William Friedkin's final film comes out tomorrow, I believe, on Showtime. Oh, what film is that? Let us know. Ethan says they just announced Peeping Tom coming to 4K. Yeah, I think I saw that on Instagram or somewhere. I was hoping one day it would get an upgrade. Okay, that sounds great, Ethan. I'm not familiar with that film, but I do remember seeing it on social media, either on Facebook or Instagram, that announcement coming out. So yeah, all right, we've got 3 films in the books that we've talked about. Now we're going to go to the 4th film. So what film is that? What do I have in my notes here? We have, of course, we covered Don't Look Now. I've heard that I've heard great things about the 4K release for this Blu-ray upgrade, and that it might very well be worth the upgrade if you love the film. So I'm on the lookout for that. I might take that plunge. Film number 4. I am going to share my screen. I'm going to reveal what this next film is when I type it into IMDb, my good friend IMDb. What do you think it is? If I can type. 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, this happens to have this on IMDb, the same cover that's on this steelbook. This is a nice steelbook. I'm actually very pleased with this Dark Sky Film steelbook. So I was very happy to have this edition. And I recently saw this film the other week for the very first time on this new 4K release. And I was blown away by this movie. I have to say, I'm trying to decide if the word enjoyed is the appropriate word. I really dug this film. I dug the aesthetic. I love the grittiness of this film. This film is on 4K, but it doesn't, don't go into this thinking it's going to look like a pretty 4K image. This is not a pretty film. This is a gritty, grungy, grindhouse type film. That's what this film is. And this aesthetic is captured beautifully on this 4K. And I just really dug this film. This film had just tremendous dread with these characters, Leatherface and the people that he's with, and these young people who, find themselves, running into the wrong people with him and his folks. I mean, it's just, you see him running there. It's just crazy. This is a crazy film. Five friends head out to rural Texas to visit the grave of a grandfather. On the way, they stumble across what appears to be a deserted house, only to discover something sinister within, something armed with a chainsaw. This is Leatherface. And I tell you what a character. I mean, this film, I saw it for the first time again the other week, and it just blew me away. It's from the director. It's from Toby Hooper, who directed Life Force, who directed, I think, Poltergeist. So he directed this film, and man, what a movie. You know, this mass killer Leatherface is, now one of those legendary slasher, characters, along with, Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers. You have Leatherface in there, just one of the symbols of the horror genre. So that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, America's most bizarre and brutal crimes. I think people think that this is based on a true story. It's not really. I think it's sort of very loosely based on some true events, but it's very, very loosely based on a true story, I guess. But yeah, that's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, which brings us to what's next. I'm going to go to 1975, and I'll just stay on IMDb. Why not? And let's step forward to 1975, not 2004, not the remake in 2004, starring Nicole Kidman and Bette Midler. Let's go back 30 years prior, almost, to 1975, and let's deal with the Stepford Wives. So this is a film from 1975. It is an all-time classic horror film. You have Joanna Eberhardt. She has come to this quaint little town of Stepford, Connecticut in New England with her family, but she soon discovers there lies a sinister truth in the all too perfect behavior of the female residents. So you see here the Stepford Wives, Stepford Men's Association. This film was written by Ira Levin and William Goldman and directed by Brian Forbes. And you see here the cast: Catherine Ross, Paula Prentice, Peter Masterson, Nanette Newman, Tina Louise, names that are not like A-list type, actors. But I think Catherine Ross, wasn't she in The Graduate? Let's just look real quickly. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I think she played with Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate. She did. She played Elaine. So she played Dustin Hoffman's love interest in The Graduate. She also played in Donnie Darko, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So yeah, that is Catherine Ross. So she's in this film, and it is, the Stepford Wives. So it's one of those films I have not seen in a long, long time. So, she was a pretty standout performer as Joanna Eberhardt, and the gradual transformation into a subservient housewife was both eerie and thought-provoking at the time. So the film explored societal fears and gender roles and remains relevant to this day because of it. So that is the Stepford Wives from 1975. This is a film that I have not seen in a long time. I need to revisit it. But I'm going to undo this audio here for you to hear a little bit of it, but not too much, because I don't want to get any kind of copyright charge.
You came to the right town. I want to please him now. I'll just die if I don't get this recipe. It took me so long to get the upstairs floor to shine.
Charmaine's changed, Carol Van Zandt's changed, and so have all those other women's club members. I'm getting the hell out of Stepford.
Bobby, it's gotten to you now. I just want to look like a woman. And you're not going to leave.
So yeah, that's Stepford Wives. This, of course, stars Catherine Ross from The Graduate. That's from 1975. It comes in at an hour, 55 minutes, and it is PG. So it's safe for everyone. All right. So I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to jump back into the comments. The next one I'm going to do is this Arrow video release recommended to me from Mr. Ken over at Mid-Level Media, who's gotten me into Dario Argento's films, including this film here, Deep Red from 1975, starring David Hemmings. David Hemmings, he starred in Omen, Vittering, and Zygo, and he also starred in Blow Up, Michelangelo Antonioni's Blow Up. He starred in this film from Dario Argento, Deep Red from 1975. And this got one of those wonderful Arrow limited edition 4K releases that I absolutely love. We're going to look up Deep Red on IMDb. It is a fantastic film. You have David Hemmings in this film, as well as Daria Nicoldi, who played Gianna Brezzi. Daria Nicoldi not only played in Deep Red, she also played in Tenebrae, which was my favorite release last year of all physical media releases. I loved that release, but she played in Tenebrae, but she also appeared in this film, Deep Red. And it's a jazz pianist and a wisecracking journalist are pulled into a complex web mystery after the former witnesses the brutal murder of a psychic. So this is the psychic here, and we'll let you listen to some of the audience.
You have killed, and you will kill again. Ah! What was that?
Yeah, so you hear a little bit of that music from Dario, some of that wonderful Giallo music that's very famous in Dario Argento's films. You see David Hemmings there, and this is about a psychic who gets killed, and there's a mystery around that. And this jazz pianist, who is played by David Hemmings, is wrapped up in trying to investigate and figure out what is going on in this story. So this is directed by Dario Argento, and he portrays this pianist named Marcus Daly, and he added a lot of depth to the film's suspenseful storytelling, and his being Argento's use of stylish visuals, which is really reminiscent of his films, just the cinematography and the way he presents images on screen, and just a mesmerizing score from, I think, Goblin really helped to elevate this Giallo masterpiece, and it's really captivated audiences for decades with this artistic approach to the horror genre. That is Deep Red. Highly, highly recommended that you check this out. And, I'm actually going to be watching this. I plan to watch this at some point again during the month of October. I think I watched it last year, but I need to rewatch this film. It's just absolutely fantastic. Deep Red, a wonderful Giallo from Dario Argento. So with that, I think that was number 6. We got 4 more to go, which I'll do in the last bit. But right now, I'm going to stop sharing and come back out to you all. And we're going to see what people are saying. Let's see. Let's see here. Mika just is set to arrive with that big set. Oh, good for you. That's nice. You're going to get all those features and everything and the tchotchkes and all that. Well done, Mika. So excited for Peeping Tom. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I'm going to actually look that up when we go back out. I'm going to look that up and we'll see what's coming out here with Peeping Tom, or I'll educate myself on that. See, Dell is really creepy, one of Scorsese's favorites. Okay. It's good to know. Peeping Tom is excellent. Just classic. TCM. Okay. The second site, Texas Chainsaw, is superb. The film is out there on its own, except no imposters. Okay, cool. I'm good with missing out on the 4K of TCM. Oh, TCM being Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was a little slow on the uptake there. I don't need it in crystal clear UHD. It should be a grimy, crappy looking piece of grindhouse cinema. Yeah, I agree, Dell. I mean, to me, the 4K is fine, but I don't need it to be scrubbed and cleaned, and I don't need it to look like a brand new crystal clear film. That goes against the aesthetic of the movie. The movie is meant to be a grungy, gritty, looking film, and I think you get that on that 4K. It preserves that nice, gritty look, and I appreciate that. The Kane Mutiny Court Martial is Freakin's final film that comes out tomorrow. Okay. It's got Kiefer Sutherland and Lance Reddick in his final role. Okay, nice. Nice. I love the original Kane Mutiny, one of Bogart's best performances. Okay. Deep Red is great. The music is terrifying. Absolutely. I think Goblin did it, and they did the music for, I want to say, Tenebrae and some of his other Giallos. They're just fantastic. The music is a big part of what makes those movies, which is the case with a lot of movies. But with these Giallos from Dario Argento, that music is a big part of the experience and part of what draws you in and part of what drives that dread and that tension. Love it. Peeping Tom, directed by Michael Powell. Okay. Halloween has to be on his list. Well, we shall see about that, won't we, Ethan? We shall see. All right. So let's go ahead and let's dive into these last 4 films. I'm going to share my screen, but before we get into those last 4 films, I'm going to go to IMDb and I'm going to look up this film that all y'all have been talking about that I am not familiar with. So let's look this up. Peeping Tom. So I'm going to break the 70s for a second and go a decade earlier to the 60s and check out this film. Is this the film y'all are referring to, Peeping Tom? Oh, yeah, Michael Powell from 1960. A young man murders women using a movie camera to film their dying expressions of terror. Okay, let's see.
You are now alone with a killer. We warn you, don't let him see the fear in your eyes. For this is what he seeks, and this is why he kills.
Where are you? Where are you?
Wow. Okay. All right. So let's see here. We have Karl-Heinz Baum, Anna Massey, Maura Shearer. Maura Shearer, she played in The Red Shoes. Maxine Audley. Nice. Nice. Okay. This is like a really interesting title. It's got a pretty decent IMDb rating, 7.6 out of 10, which is pretty strong. Okay. Again, this is a new discovery for me. I've never heard this film, not really familiar with it. So not at all familiar with it. So at least now I've read the summary and I'm definitely intrigued. So thank you all for sharing that with me. Now we're going to jump back 10 years into the future, back into the 70s, actually 16 years into the future, because we're going to go to 1976, and I'm going to type in the 7th film we're going to cover here in this 70s film frenzy horror edition. Let's talk about, and this is one of the ones I do not have on physical. So let's talk about The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. This is, of course, drama, horror, mystery, 1976, PG, 1 hour, 31 minutes. It is a 13-year-old girl who lives with her absentee father, befriends a disabled teenage amateur musician, and invites him gradually into her tenuous struggle against a predatory local neighbor. It's been a long time since I've only seen parts of this film, so I need to see this film in its entirety, but I definitely wanted to include this film in 70s Film Frenzy. So, of course, you have Jodie Foster, who plays Ren Jacobs. You have Martin Sheen, who plays Frank Hallett, Alexis Smith, Mort Schumann, Scott Jacoby, Dorothy Davis. This is your cast of The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. And it's, basically directed by Nicholas Gessner. You have Jodie Foster. This is her in one of her early roles, one of her very first roles. She played in this film. She played in Taxi Driver, I believe, the same year. And she was remarkable. She delivered a remarkable performance as Ren Jacobs. She's a character that's shrouded in a bit of mystery. And her talent at such a young age was sort of a precursor of what was to come based on her role in this film, her role in Taxi Driver. And it just leaves a lasting impression. And it just makes this psychological thriller go. So that is The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. Let's listen to a little bit.
I even had to ask him why the police don't do anything about it.
Why should they do anything?
When your son gives candy to pretty little girls?
Academy Award nominee Jodie Foster, Martin Sheen, Alexis Smith.
Get out of here!
The little girl who lives down the lane.
One of those creepy psychological terror type films. So this is one I definitely need to revisit because it's been a long time since I've seen any of it. So, yep, that's The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. Now, this is a film that I am probably going to pop in the player. This 8th film, I believe it's number 8. Yeah. I'm going to pop this in the players sometime in the next week or so. I definitely want to get this in because I love this movie. It's one of my all-time favorite films from Brian De Palma. It's probably my second Brian De Palma favorite film behind Blowout. And it is none other than Carrie. This is the Steelbook here edition of Carrie. 1976. You'll never look at a prom the same. But this is Sissy Spacek who plays Carrie White. She is a teenage girl in high school who was dealing with the pressures of being a teenager. She is dealing with, very mean-spirited fellow students who are not treating her in the best way. And she has some special abilities, so to speak. And it just deals with her journey as a character throughout the course of this film and dealing with how to deal with her special abilities, her interactions with these other teenagers. You have a wonderful cast: John Travolta, Nancy Allen, great cast. Let's pull up Carrie. Carrie has a remake from 2013, Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore. That's actually pretty decent. I don't think it needed to be made, but it's perfectly fine. But definitely stick with the original from 1976. This film had Academy Award nominated performances from Sissy Spacek as Carrie White, as well as Piper Laurie, who played her mother, Margaret White. So she was brilliant. Amy Irving is in this. John Travolta's in this. Nancy Allen, PJ Soles, Betty Buckley. He had a fantastic cast. William Catt. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the all-time classic films that I simply cannot say enough about.
Prom next Friday. Would you like to go with me?
That music that you're hearing there.
I've been invited to the prom.
One thing I love about Brian De Palma's films, similar to Dario Argento, is the music. The music, and I think it's Pino Donaggio or someone who did a lot of the music for Brian De Palma's films, like Dress to Kill and Blowout and several of his other films. The music in Carrie, that beautiful song or whatever it's called, is just a wonderful melody and really puts you into the mood of this film. It's just incredible. But I love this 4K. Looks great on 4K. This is my original Blu-ray. And Carrie is just one of the all-time great classic horror films. Sissy Spacek is amazing. Piper Laurie is amazing. She plays her mother, who's a bit of a religious zealot, and she partly drives her daughter crazy with her powers, and it's just a nutty, crazy film. It's very haunting. You see the transformation of Carrie White from a bullied student to something of a vengeful force of nature in this film, and it added a lot of depth to the movie. And it basically introduced a lot of supernatural elements to the horror genre, and just basically forever change horror storytelling. That is the 1976 film Carrie from Brian De Palma. All right, 2 more to go. I have one on physical media. The other I do not have on physical media, and the other I do not have on physical media. I'm going to type here into IMDb. Damien, I'm doing this for you, Damien. 1976 is The Omen. Damien, you have been warned. If something frightening happens to you today, think about it. It may be The Omen. This stars Gregory Peck, Lee Remick in one of the all-time classic horror films. The music in these movies is haunting, terrifying, and
Come.
Damien, it's all for you.
it's all for you, Damien.
Your wife is in danger. This is not a human child.
Yeah. So, mysterious deaths surround an American ambassador. Could the child that he is raising actually be the Antichrist, the devil's own son? Watch The Omen and find out. It is a film directed by Richard Donner. Of course, he was involved in the Superman movies. He has the Donner cut of the Superman 2. Writer David Seltzer, Gregory Peck, Lee Remick, and Harvey Stevens. Just a haunting, creepy film about this young boy. Oh, incredible. Gregory Peck, Lee Remick. Classic actors, Harvey Stevens, David Warner. This is one of the all-time classic horror films. This film has spawned a number of sequels, but it's this original film that is just an all-time classic, haunting type film. So this is directed by Richard Donner. It takes us into the world of demonic forces around this boy and his identity. And you have Harvey Stevens, who plays a chilling performance as Damien Thorne, who is the sinister child, the child of the devil, so to speak. And it's just very eerie. And just one of the all-time classic films, The Omen. Let me know what you think about this film in the comment section. That now brings us to the last film that we're going to cover in this edition of 70s Film Frenzy, episode 5, horror edition. And it is a film that Ethan actually hinted to. And it wouldn't be complete if we did not include this one. And of course, it is 1978 Halloween, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, John Carpenter's film, all-time classic horror film, Halloween. I mean, you cannot not include this film. It's just one of the all-time classic films to introduce the character of Michael Myers and The Night He Came Home. Just one of the all-time classic films. 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night of 1963, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois to kill again. Halloween has spawned a number of sequels that have come out in recent years. There's been a 2018 Halloween film that I enjoyed, followed up by Halloween Kills, which was okay, and Halloween Ends, that has been universally panned. I have not heard anyone say they really like Halloween Ends. I have not seen it yet, but everyone I talk to cannot stand that movie. But I really enjoyed this original Halloween movie. The music is just classic. John Carpenter wrote this film. He directed this film. He composed that iconic song and score of this movie. Just brilliant all the way around. You have Donald Pleasance, who plays Dr. Loomis. You have Jamie Lee Curtis, who plays Laurie Strode. Tony Moran, Michael Myers at age 23. Nancy Keys, PJ Souls. Just a wonderful cast, but it's headed up by Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance. One of the all-time classic horror films.
Sure. The only reason she babysits is to have
Halloween.
Yeah, can't play too much of that music without it being probably be flagged, but I think you've all heard that theme. It is just one of the all-time classic horror themes. So I'm going to stop sharing. This is film 10 in the 70s Film Frenzy, Part 5 Horror Edition. Halloween, just tremendous. Check out the discs on the inside here. See the back here? Is that showing well? But yeah. I don't think this is a packed edition as far as features. Actually, it's not at all, but it has the classic movie, and it is just one of the all-time greats. Let's see here. What are y'all saying out here? What's all y'all saying? Okay. Deep Red is excellent, says Larry Gilmore. It absolutely is. I need to revisit it. I'm looking forward to watching it again. Peeping Tom is one of those I had on VHS and DVD. Okay. Now, is Peeping Tom, is it coming out on 4K or Blu-ray? What is it coming out on? Let me know in the comments. It featured Anna Massey, a great British stage and film actress. Cool. Peeping Tom has been out of print from Criterion for a long time. Really? Peeping Tom? Is Peeping Tom? Hold on, let me look this up. Oh, okay. Y'all, I tell you what. See, this is why I include y'all on these streams. This is why I include y'all, because y'all teach me something new every time. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen with y'all real quick. Y'all should be seeing this. Yeah, Peeping Tom, Michael Powell. Peeping Tom is spy number 58 in the Criterion Collection. Okay. A frank exploration of voyeurism and violence, Michael Powell's extraordinary film is the story of a psychopathic cameraman, his childhood traumas, sexual crises, and murderous revenge as an adult. Reviled by critics upon its initial release for its deeply unsettling subject matter, the film has since been hailed as a masterpiece. It is out of print. Wow. On Criterion, but apparently it's coming out on this new edition. I'm not sure who's releasing it, but that's good to know. Okay, thank you for letting me know, internet user. Dang, y'all are making me want to get Peeping Tom now. I want to say it's hard to stream too. Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out. A lot of people are talking about it. It has shades of Hitchcock's Frenzy, which came out 12 years after it. Mika, haven't seen this one. A young Jodie Foster is in it. Have to check it out. Yeah, it's really cool seeing a young. I love seeing these actors, 40, 50 years ago, so you see Martin Sheen, the young Martin Sheen in that film, but you're also seeing Jodie Foster in The Little Girl Who Lives on the Lane at a time when she was also making Taxi Driver. So around that same time, 1976. So that's really cool. Never seen Little Girl before. Thank you for this recommendation, James. Thank you. Thank you, Jordan, for joining and watching. Let's see. Carrie, just classic. Yeah, Carrie is one of my all-time favorites. If I put together a list of top 5 favorite horror movies of all time, my top 5 favorite, I think Carrie's on that list. I really think Carrie's on that list for me. I recently picked up the Carrie Steelbook myself. Cool. Yeah, it's a pretty decent Steelbook. Love Carrie. Piper Laurie has one of the best scares in horror movies to me. Yeah. She was brilliant. Her portrayal as the mother in Carrie, fantastic. Sissy Spacek was great. And all of her fellow students, John Travolta, Nancy Allen, Amy Irving, great, terrific. Excuse me. They were all great. They also were older than high school age playing those roles, but it's not the first time that they've done that. Let's see. Pino Donaggio did the score for Carrie. His first score was for Don't Look Now. Okay. Yeah. And he was a brilliant musician for sure. The sheet of glass scene is so brutal in The Omen. Yeah. That movie is one of the creepiest movies of all time. That is a movie that I wouldn't watch that movie if I was by myself in the dark. I just wouldn't do it. There's no way. That's a movie I would probably have to watch in broad daylight just to not scare the crap out of myself. The sequels to Omen are decent. They are. Sam Neill, I think, plays an adult version of Damien in those movies. He's pretty good. The Omen also featured David Warner and Patrick Troughton. Okay. Cool. And recently watched The Omen for the first time and really enjoyed it. Cool. And let's see here. I haven't seen Halloween Ends or Kills yet, but I really enjoyed the 2018 Halloween. Cool. And I need to finally watch The Omen. Absolutely watch it. Halloween 78 and Alien are my all-time favorites. Yes. You cannot go wrong with Alien, although it's not within 70s film frenzy. It is a 1979 film. This is a 1978 film. Halloween, Alien, 2 of the all-time great horror films. I would definitely put this in my top 5, and who knows, this would definitely be in a top 10 for me. Just two amazing films, 100%. Did he have Dawn of the Dead? I got here halfway. I did not. But if I did a part 2 to this horror film frenzy, might include that one. Watching Halloween on Halloween night is a yearly tradition. Oh, yes. This is definitely one to pop in the player on October 31st, for sure. Yes, that's a great idea. And then Jordo says, yes, Mika, you got to watch Halloween on Halloween. Couldn't come sooner this year. Yeah, so there you have it, folks. I hope that y'all enjoyed this installment of 70s Film Frenzy. Is talking about horror films from the 70s, made in the 70s, about life in the 70s. These are some great horror titles to consider watching this time of the year or at any time of the year. But I hope you enjoy watching some great horror movies during this 31 days of horror, and looking forward to watching some great stuff over the weekend. Be on the lookout for some more content on this channel along the theme of 31 days of horror, including over the weekend. I plan to put out my video on Sunday where I'll continue to share my horror movie collection. I put out a video this past Sunday where I shared my contemporary horror movies in my collection. Those are films from 2001 up to present. So films from the 21st century. In the video coming out this Sunday, I'll share with you part 1 of 2 of my classic horror movie collection. So these are classic horror movies from 1980 through the year 2000. And then in part 3, which will come out a week from now, I'll put out my classic horror movies part 2, which will cover horror movies pre-1980. So that'll be my sharing of my total horror movie collection, but definitely check out my contemporary horror movies in my collection that's already out there, and be on the lookout for my video on Sunday sharing part 1 of my classic horror movies. I'll also be talking about some Criterion sale recommendations here pretty soon, as well as my Criterion collection sale wish list. So I am drinking tea. I'm drinking my spearmint tea. I need to warm it up a little bit. So I'm going to do that when I pop off of here. I see. Thank you, Mika, for a great stream. She asked if I'm drinking tea. I am indeed. I'm drinking my spearmint tea, and I plan to warm it up here in just a second. Adrian says, nice stream. Thank you very much. I missed a stream. I will watch it back now from the start. Love the 70s Film Frenzy. Thank you, Gungshi. Thank you, and hope you love this one as well. Ethan says, even though it's not a horror movie, I watch Assault on Precinct 13 every year in October. Goes well with Halloween. Awesome. That's awesome stuff. And South in Steve says, thanks, James. Thank you, Steve. And thank you to everyone out there for joining. Thank you for catching this live. Thank you for the replay. Hope you all have a fantastic weekend and enjoy yourselves watching some great movies. And we'll look to see you next time at the movies. Peace.